Thank you for joining us at Journey to the Summits podcast. Today we're going to be talking about your journey and how you overcame your challenges, especially as a professor, and also as an entrepreneur as well. So thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks. So let's start early on in your life. You talked about, who were your role models or mentors growing up?
In my early days, my role model was my father. He was a very hard-working man, and he was a family man. I learned a lot from him. And in every step in my life where I found any difficulty, I always remember his words. Even now, I teach my kids the same words that he taught me, because I thought at that time they were very inspiring.
And what are these words, if you can remember?
There are many words that he used to tell me. One of the words that he told me when I went into high school last year, the last year in high school, he told me that, look, if you are one of your top class students, you can sit down and choose the university you want. But if you don't have good grades, then you'll start begging for schools to accept you. This is one of his words. When you are on the top, you put down your conditions. And that's exactly what happened with me. After I finished high school, I applied for American University in Beirut for medical school. And he came to me and he said, where did you apply? I said, to AUB. He said, where else? I said, none. He said, how about if they refused you? I said, you told me they don't afford to refuse me. They cannot afford to refuse me. And really, I was accepted. I left to Beirut. Unfortunately, my trip in Beirut was very short. It was only 3 years because of the civil war in Beirut. In 1975, the civil war started, and I had to leave Beirut and come back to Kuwait. In Kuwait, I tried to rejoin another medical school. I could not, because all the other schools, they would request that I have to start from the beginning, which I cannot afford to lose 3 years. Ministry of Education in Kuwait at that time, they said, well, we found an acceptance for you, all of you who were in Beirut, to go to Syracuse University, but engineering. Would you accept to go to civil engineering? When I received that offer, I was in Kuwait for about 8 months. And I felt that my life and time is just passing. I'm doing nothing. So I accepted the offer. And we were 17 students, Kuwaitis. I was the only one in medical school. And we left for Syracuse in January 1976. It was very cold. And when we arrived to Syracuse, there was a blizzard going on. It was 67 below zero with windshield. To me, coming from Kuwait, that was a terrible place to live in.
It's much colder over there than in Kuwait.
It's 76 below zero.
Yeah.
But I said, well, I have to go on. So I joined the civil engineering department, and they accepted for me 62 credits exactly from Beirut, which was, for me, that's a big win. I did not lose everything. I had over 90 credits from Beirut, so I did not lose that 90 credits. So 60 were accepted. And I remember the first day I went to school after registration, I remember my professor who was my advisor, his name is Mandel. And he said, you look cold. Do you have any coat? I said, no, I don't have anything. He said, okay, why don't we go to the market now and buy you something? So he took me there, and we bought everything, and he gave me advice how to handle this very cold weather and how they can cope with it. And I bought what he advised me to buy, and then we went back and I registered. At the beginning, I felt down that my intentions, I want to be a medical doctor. I'm not into engineering, although mathematics for me is something that I love. But I need, in my thoughts, that medical career, through medical career, you can help people. You can extend your hand to people and help them. But anyhow, I had to live with what I have. I tried. I sent emails or letters to many universities. Unfortunately, in the States, to go into a medical school, you have to finish BS in science or BS in medical sciences and then apply for a medical school. So I had 3 years to finish medical or get a BS in medical science. I need 2 years, that's 5 years, and then go into medical school, which is about 5 years, that's 10 years, just to get MD. At that moment, I took a decision, no, I'll go into civil engineering. So I set my mind that I want to be a civil engineer.
So why did you choose civil engineering rather than any other field out there?
Well, Kuwait is a main business in Kuwait is construction. This whole country lives in construction. So I thought if I go into civil engineering, that is a very popular specialty, and I will not have any problem getting a job in Kuwait. So I set my mind to that, and I said, no, well, that's... so I spent 5 semesters in Syracuse. In the 4 semesters, I got 4.0 in every semester. Nice. Only 1 semester I got 3.9, and I graduated with honor. And unfortunately, I called my father. My last exam was on Friday. I called my father and said, I have graduated, I'm coming to Kuwait, but I will come on Thursday. That was on Friday. He said, why Thursday? I said, because our graduation ceremony is on Wednesday. He said, no, today is Friday. I'll give you 1 day off. That's Saturday. On Sunday, you take the plane and come here. I said, Father, I need to... He said, no, you come. I said, fine. I never argued with my father. I respect him very much. He's not a father to me. He's even a friend, a very close friend. So that's why I never argued with him. So I called the embassy on Friday night. I said, I need a ticket. I have to leave early. She said, when are you leaving? I said, Sunday. She said, well, I cannot send you the tickets that fast. I said, fine, I'll take a car, come to the embassy, pick up my tickets, and come back to Syracuse. I said, wow, okay, fine. So I took my friend's car. She said, okay, I'll leave all the tickets in an envelope with the security of the embassy. I said, fine. So I traveled from Syracuse to Washington, D.C., picked up my tickets, came back to Syracuse, gathered my staff, went to New York, and took the plane to Kuwait. طبعا, at that time, Kuwait Airways did not reach New York. It only reached London. So I took a plane from New York to London. I reached London Sunday night. My next plane was around 3, something like that. Mm-hmm. So next day, they took us to a hotel. Next day, I took the plane. On the plane, back to Kuwait, I saw a guy in front of me reading a newspaper. And my father's name was written in bold. Why would my father put an ad in the newspaper? So I took that another newspaper, and read it.
What airline?
Kuwait Airways.
Kuwait Airways.
Yes, because that was a governmental ticket. And it was announcing that my father died.
Oh, okay.
It was his nawa.
Sorry about that.
I could not believe that my father can die. He's my father. How can he die? He used to tell me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes people play different roles in order that you get to your destiny. So people can prevent you to go here, they'll push you, so because that's your destination. So I remembered his word that I could not finish my medical school, so I can go and finish my BS in civil. So when he dies, I have a BS in civil engineering and I'm an engineer, I can support my family, my mother and my sisters. So when I arrived to Kuwait, he was died, and it was the 3 days of Aza. After it finished, in the last day of Aza, one of his friends who came to our Diwaniyah, he said, I heard that you graduated. I said, yes. He said, from where? I said, Syracuse Civil Engineering. He said, in my company, we need civil engineers. Would you like to come? In the last call between him and me, he told me, don't work for the government, work in the private sector. I said, why? He said, when you come, you understand. So what I did is, I said, okay, you are a private company. He said, yes, we are a private company. I said, okay, tomorrow I will come. This company was Kuwait Prefabricated Building Company, KBBC. I went, met him, and immediately he gave me the appointment, and I started working for him.
And that was 1919?
That was 1978.
Okay.
Well, at that time, my father just started our house, building our new house, so I had to complete it and finish it. I had brothers who are, because I'm the eldest, so all of them are still in school. I have a sister that's still first year kindergarten. So I found myself that I have to do what my father used to do for the family. It was a heavy burden. And his mother, my grandmother, was with us. So I spent 3 years at KBBC until my brother graduated and he came back to Kuwait. Working at KBBC as a civil engineer, site engineer, and then project engineer, I found out this is not the life I was looking for. This is not my ambition. Still, the word doctor still rings in my ears. So I saw an ad for Kuwait University. They want people to go, to send them on scholarship to obtain their master's and PhD. So I decided to go. So I applied, and I was accepted. Under one condition, I told him. I will go under one condition. I will stay in KBBC until September of 1981, until I have to leave to go to the university. And then our chairman of the department said, where are you going to go? I said, I'm thinking of Stanford. He said, Stanford is very good university. Can you get an acceptance for it? I said, yes, I can. Why not? So I sent to Stanford. I need to go to complete I sent my application. They said me, your grades are very good. I remember I'm a graduate of an American school, Syracuse, an American school, and my GPA was very high, 3.99, something like that. So they accepted me under one condition: I do my GRE. I received this letter in March of 1981, sorry.
The acceptance letter.
The acceptance with a condition. And they told me GRE will be offered next June in Amman, Jordan. I said, fine. So I applied for GRE. And during these 3 months, I told my mother, look, I'm not going to go to the States single. I have to go married. So you have to find me a wife. Alhamdulillah, I got married, and I went with my wife to Jordan to do the GRE. And we got the results. They needed, I think, 550, and I got 550.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Good enough. In September 1981, I joined Stanford University. Oh, and Stanford University was a quarter system, not a semester system. And I had been working for 3 years. My mind did not function properly the first quarter, as it used to be in Syracuse. I felt that I need to reshape my mind. So I started working hard, and I finished my master in 1 year. Before I finished my master in June of 1982, my advisor told me, I told him that I need to do my PhD, and he accepted, and he got me on a project. In March 1982, he told me, I'm going to leave Stanford, and I'm taking all the funds and the project with me. I said, where? He said, Virginia Tech. I said, Virginia Tech is in the east. You are in the west. You're going to go from west to east? I said, yes. I had a condition with Stanford. They did not fulfill their condition, so I'm leaving.
And you were stuck with him. You had to go with him, or?
Well, when I was accepted in Stanford, I was accepted as a construction management.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in that year, they usually accept 54, 55 students in the master program of construction management, not civil, in the construction management. And usually 4 or 5 will not show up. So their capacity is 50. I don't know, is it my luck or is it my destiny? That year, all the 54 came. So in November 1981, before the end of the first quarter, the head of the construction management section came and he said, well, we decided to kick out 4 of you. And we decided to kick out the foreigners and keep the Americans. And we were 4 foreigners in that program. I'm one of them.
And was it like a policy, or it's not fair because...
It's not fair. I told him, I have left my job, I left my family, I came from 10,000 miles, and this guy came from 200 miles. He said, well, if you want to go to court, fine, you can go to court. But you're going to wait a few years before you get the... But you'll win the case. But you're going to lose time. So I decided I'm not going to wait. When he told us this decision, I was very upset. So my advisor, who became my advisor, he said, what's wrong, Waleed? I said, they did this. So he came, he's a geotechnical engineer. He came to help me to go back to the construction management. Okay. And he did all his efforts to go back to the construction management, but they refused. So he said, well, they refused. What are you going to say? You're going to go structure? I said, no, structure is an old subject, and I need something new and not many in Kuwait. He said, why don't you come to Geotechnical? I said, that's what I'm thinking of. I never heard of any geotechnical engineers in Kuwait. And I like to be a pioneer. So I said, okay, you can come in. You see how I was going to medical, then the war started to push me to civil because my father died at that time, so I can support my family. And I went for a construction management. They kicked us out, which is a very rare case in Stanford. Yeah. So I can go to geotechnical engineer, so I become a geotechnical engineer. So I finished my master, and then I left with him to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. And I finished my PhD there, and I graduated in April 1987. طبعا he said, why don't you stay? Why don't you take a job here? They needed geotechnical engineers. He said, plenty of jobs around. I said, no, I have to go back to Kuwait. I still have my mother, my sisters, my brothers. I have to go back. My wife, I had at that time 3 kids. So I need to go back to Kuwait so I can raise my kids there. So I went back to Kuwait. When I got the first semester in Kuwait University, I could not teach because I came in the middle of the semester. So they gave me other, but I was surprised that I was called for army service in August 1987.
And you had to do the full year of...
The full year of service. طبعا we finished I finished in late August 1988. During that 88, the army allowed me to go and teach at Kuwait University under one condition: I stay in my military uniform. So I used to go and teach my students while I am dressing as an army officer.
Yeah.
Only one semester, which is the second semester of 87, 88.
And you have to sleep in the camp?
No, it's only the first 3 months that you have to sleep in the camp. And then they, because we are college graduates, they spread us to the different army units. So I was in the military engineering section. And I spent good time. It was the first time that I was requested to do some geotechnical work. At that time, the Iraqi-Irani war was on, and Kuwait wanted to build some stores and for Patriot in the and some high place for the soldiers, trenches and so on.
Yeah.
And because I'm a geotechnical engineer, they gave me the job of designing these things, which I enjoyed. I had to go to Bobian Island and do the design there, take samples, and so it was the first challenge for me after I graduated. And by the way, my PhD was on testing, soil testing. So I'm too much involved in labs and testing equipments. And my thesis, we have to develop new equipments and how to measure the behavior of the CBT and so on. So it was a good experience for me. But in 1990, the war, Iraq invaded Kuwait. But in March 1981, after liberation, we were asked to rebuild Kuwait University College of Engineering.
To rebuild it again?
Not rebuild, rehabilitate. The building is there, but the Iraqis took all the equipment.
But they destroyed like the...
Yes, so they brought a contractor, they fixed, but still, you cannot teach without labs, engineering. We had around 200 labs. So what we did is we formed a committee at that time. I was one of the members, and we went to UK. And we established a base there in UK. And we start contacting the different companies. And we had lists of all the equipment. And for example, for civils, I know that geotechnical lab needs these equipment, structural lab needs this. So we bought all the equipment, we got quotation, we sent them to the university, they opened LCs or paid cash, and by September 1991, college operated normally. So it took us around 6 months of hard work to rebuild. طبعا this gives you that experience. It's all different experiences that you are gaining along the road. Now when I look at this, I'm really thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He forced me to go into engineering and civil, and again into geotechnical engineering, because I felt I can help in my field different people the same way I was hoping as a medical doctor I would help. طبعا different sense طبعا.
Yeah, that's very interesting actually. And you said that you try to help people as much as you can, and you could have done that as a professor, but what made you choose entrepreneurship? Why did you start your own company, which is called Sematco?
Yes.
And the name, like, why did you?
Yes.
What does the name mean? Yeah.
The name is we took the first letter from Soil and Engineering Material Testing Company. If you take the first letters, it's Sematco. When I start teaching after liberation, I go to class and teach students material that I can only read from books and give them to the students. I felt I don't have the practical and experience background that can support what I'm telling the students. How can I teach the students how to design a footing if I have never designed a footing? How can I teach the students how to implement improvement technique to soil if I have never designed a soil improvement in my life? I felt there is something missing. I enjoy teaching. I have felt that when you go into that class and teach students, you can direct these young people in the right path, in the right direction. And always in my classes, I stress on two things. You have to be very professional in your work. You have to do a professional, and you cannot do a professional work if you are not a good engineer. Second, you have to have high ethics, because countries cannot develop if they don't have high ethics. So if you have good technical, solid knowledge of engineering and ethics, you'll become something. You can succeed in your life, personal life, public life, family life, because that's what it takes to be a successful man or woman. So I felt that I cannot fulfill my job as a professor unless I go out and take some experience. So I said to one of my colleagues, what do you think? Can you join me? He said, yes. So we sat together and we discussed how can we establish a company. We are academics. We are in academia. This is business, money and public relation, clients, accounting, banks, reporting, ISO, standard. It's a whole world. So we said, look, we need a third partner who can support us financially. Again, I remember my father's word that God will put people in your way, so he will direct you. They will do something to help you to and push you to where you are destined. At that time, we met one of the owners of one of the consulting offices here. And he had a big problem in one of the sites. That site was mostly a garbage dump area. Sorry, it's a building debris type of garbage, not domestic. And it's a huge land, and they want to build a factory in it. And the report from the ministry says it's not good for building. So when we decided that we're going to open a company, we said, let's start with the first thing we'll do is let people know that we are here. And we counted there was around, at that time, 350 or 60 consulting offices in Kuwait. And we decided that we're going to visit the 360 offices, every one of them, just to let them know that we are here. We're going to open a company and get their feedback. If I open a company with engineering services, we are thinking of offering 1, 2, 3, soil testing, third-party inspection, concrete testing, material testing, surveying. What do you think? So in our tour, we collected lots of ideas, and we met this guy. And he said, okay, you said you are geotechnical engineers, we have a problem. Can you solve it? I said, of course we can solve it.
That was after opening your company? Or
not yet. We decided to open, but officially we did not do it. Yeah. You see, the timing is very... yeah. It is what we call synchronized. So we said, okay, I took the data from him. We prepared the solution, and we said, I'm not going to send you the report. I'm going to do a presentation for you. And please gather all your engineers so they can listen to our... And this is one of the biggest offices in Kuwait. So he did that, and we did the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, he said, well, I can see it's a very good work. I don't understand what you did, but I'm going to go for it. He said, but under one condition, you'll be with us step by step. I said, fine. He said, you will guide us through the solution. After the contractor finishes, you have to do the quality control and help us to do the quality control. Give us the green light if you think that what he did is correct. So I said, okay, fine. After we finished, and the guy said, when you came to us first, you said that you want to open a company. Do you mind if we become partners? So I looked at my friend and said, well, you remember the guy that we need a financer. We need somebody who can help us. And this is not an, if you want to start right and continue as a successful company, you have to start right. You have to have the good basis. I said, of course. So we agreed, the third of us, that we're going to establish Sematco. And they gave me the honor of calling giving the name. So we call it Sematco Engineering, Soil and Engineering Material Testing Company.
And all of you are the three owners of...
The three owners, yes. He said, okay, you have to put for us a business plan. So I said, we need equipment. Number one, we need a location, a place. Third, we need to get the approval of the government to allow a private lab to do that soil testing, and his reports will be accepted in Baladia, in the municipality. So we started along these three lines. We found a location, we rented a location. The second, I corresponded with a Japanese company, and we bought a drilling machine that's mounted on a truck. And I traveled to Japan. I inspected the truck. Every day from the day that we said we're gonna establish a company, and every day I'm learning something new. I had to read about drilling heads, drilling process. This is something I teach now. Now I'm reading specification of the company that I have to choose. And I went to Japan and sat there, and I saw the different, and I listened to them. What's the difference between, where do you use this? What type of soil this is good for, and so on. This added to me as a professor. This gave me the ability to teach my student better education. Then we imported that machine, and we went to the Ministry of Commerce here, and we got the license. Now we want the permit from Baladia. And we were shocked that Baladia will not allow us to operate within Kuwait.
And why is that?
No reason. He said, all the tests are done at the governmental labs of Ministry of Public Works. No private sector is allowed.
That was 1990.
That was 1994.
Okay.
I said, why? You said you want to open the doors for the private sector, you are supporting the private sector. And we met with the head of Baladia at that time, and I remember I told him, where do you want me? He said, and you don't have experience. I said, I have PhD. He said, that's not experience. I said, okay, where do you want me to go get experience so you give me the license? You want me to go to Saudi Arabia and work there for a period and then come back? I need to work in Kuwait, in my country. It took us 2 to 3 months of argument with Baladia. So, and then they decided they will take our application to a committee called Engineering Profession Committee. They call it in Arabic, لجنة مزاولة المهنة. And they want to discuss it in that committee. طبعا, we cannot leave things to coincidence. So we got the names in the committee, and we start contacting them. It's hard work. It's work day and night. Alhamdulillah, finally, after they met, and we were the first company in Kuwait to be approved as a private sector whom their reports are accepted in Baladia for the design of buildings.
Nice. And there were other companies like other geotechnical companies, they were still not approved yet?
No. We were the first one. There was one company before us, and it was working in certain areas in the private sector where it's not required to get municipality approval. طبعا, this opened a huge scope for us. All the governmental projects. And we start meeting in Public Authority of Housing Welfare. And they said, I said, we need to take work from you. He said, are you approved? Yes, it is written from Baladia. Mm-hmm. And that's where I found we can help. We start working with them on writing down some of the specification related to the geotechnical engineering work. And I think that's where we felt we can start. It took us exactly, we established the company in September 1994, but we were not able to operate until June 1995. We were paying rent, I remember we hired, we bought this machine, we hired 3 people, so a driver and a driller and an assistant, and we bought some equipment, and I started working in the lab, furnishing the lab with the furniture, with the equipment. We imported that, and so in 1995, in June 95, we got this permit from Beirut. طبعا during these few months, we thought seriously to close down. If Baladiya does not give us the permit, how are we going to go on? But I don't know. I am an optimistic guy. I'm not pessimistic. And I felt we'll get it. If we insist, we'll get it. So what we did with the committee members and contacting them and explaining to them what we are looking for came with positive result. And we got the approval. طبعا it's not easy to run a company, but it's not difficult if you willing to put the effort, and if you are willing to do it right. One of the things that طبعا I'm still teaching at Kuwait University. I'm still getting my salary from Kuwait University. And that allowed me to implement all my thoughts in my company. High technical people with professional work, high ethics. And we do not allow in our company any misconduct from engineering point of view. Because we are helping people, we are supporting people. At that time, there was no company in Kuwait that gives engineering services to the contractors, to the consulting offices, to the owners. For example, the foundation design. They used to send it outside because somebody will come do the geotechnical work, he has the data, they will send him the... Now everything is done locally. So we decided to build what we call a database for Kuwait. All the boreholes, all the lab testing, all the data that we have about, we decided to put it in a database that others can benefit from it. We had to make sure that our people will do the work as per standards. And lately, Ministry of Public Works required us to obtain ISO 17025 in order to allow us to operate in Kuwait as a third party or an independent party. And to implement these ISOs and procedures, you have to train your people. And not just train them, keep watching over their shoulders. And make sure that you have a good quality insurance or assurance system in your company. So I think if you want a good, successful company, first of all, you have to be honest with people. Third, you have to be competent in your field. People cannot listen to you and then found later on that what you told them was wrong. They have to trust you because you are providing service. Third, you have to develop yourself enough to accommodate all the requirements of the market. In the past, we never heard of K800 in concrete. Now we're hearing. So this required different types of equipment. In the past, we never went into soil improvement techniques. Now, many places you have to implement a soil improvement technique. You have to provide that service. So we work as a support for engineering offices. And this does not come by hiring people, no. You as an owner, with your knowledge, have to be there. If you cannot, this type of companies, you cannot let others run it. You have to run it yourself. It's you, your knowledge, your education, your experience, your support, your vision is what's important. That's what makes any project succeed. Also, you need good finance. And I'm sure these days, sources of support is available in the market. And now the government just started small and medium business support program. It's very difficult to depend totally on your own savings, because you have a family that you have to support. So you have to work it properly such that even if the Baladiya does not give us for 9 months and still you are paying rent and paying salaries and paying maintenance, you still can afford it. We started with 4 people in 1995. Today, Sematco has over 50 people.
Nice.
And we have different labs. We do physical testing, chemical testing, we do soil testing, concrete testing, raw material testing. And in the future, we are going into air testing and asphalt testing. We are now preparing for the asphalt. And in the near future, we'll go for air pollution, air monitoring, and all this. And that's why you have to upgrade your employees. Because I am professor at Kuwait University, I encouraged my employees to come and take master degrees. I have one of my master students. She is now an employee in our company. And she's responsible for the technical department. And she took a master in environmental studies. So she can do environmental impact assessment. Yes, yeah. So, and you know, business is not smooth all the time. There are times of hardship, and there are times of prosperity.
What was the hardest point?
Corona time.
Yeah.
You have 50 people. You have big salaries. Would you fire them? Or would you retain them and pay their salary, although the company is closed down? We have to pay the rent. It was a hard time.
And all the projects stopped at that time, everything.
The whole country stopped. Everybody has to stay home.
But some of the construction works...
Very rare, very rare. But we closed down. They only allowed for the road repairs and so on. And we had to close down, and it was hard times. After Corona, and maybe because of the political situation in the country, very few projects were available in the market. And you know, when you open a company and it succeeds and everybody knows about it, and many people try to open same business. So now we are about 5 or 6 companies. And after Corona, there was very little jobs. So they start to compete. So we used to do the borehole, for example, for 60 kd. Now somebody's willing to do it for 50, for 30. And you come into this. So you have to have the vision. Can I go through the hard times? And alhamdulillah, Sematco has gone the hard times, and now we are again back in normal operation. طبعا, this connection between working at university and working in the private sector gave me with these different hats that I had, I could help my career as a teacher at Kuwait University using the knowledge that I gained in Sematco. And as a company, we have raised that, or now we said that our labs are open for any master student to come into our labs and do their testing free. So we are helping. I remember we had to get a permit to renovate our location. And one of the requirements was to do connection with the Ministry of Public Works network for drainage. So, and they won't give us. So the people, my people in the company, they went to this engineer in Ministry of Public Works and said, we need this. I said, what company? He said, Sematco. He said, this is Dr. Waleed? He said, yes. So he said, okay, call him. So he called me. And I talked to him. He said, you remember me? I said, no. I said, remember, I was doing my master in UK and I came to Kuwait and I wanted to do some testing and I came to your office and you said, yes, you can do it now and do the testing. So I did all my testing in your labs and get the results and finish my master's. I called you just to thank you and say, you gave me the opportunity to finish my master thesis because I was able to do my testing. I said, okay, how about the connection approval? He said, well, it's approved.
Nice. Yeah, and just for credit, he gave me like all my master thesis work, like the boreholes. I took stuff from his company back when I was doing my master's before. And he's actually my co-advisor, by the way. He was previously when I was in college. And I took a class with him as well, which is interesting. So you said you started with 4 employees,
yes.
And now you have 50
plus.
50 plus.
We are, I think, 58.
Yeah. Corona was the worst days in the company, like the lowest point.
Well, the beginning was, before we get the Baladi approval, was where we felt down, that's no hope.
Did you decide to take like any loans before you start the company, or
no.
Did it?
No.
Okay.
All the money that was put into the capital was from the partners.
Okay.
Yes. يعني احنا طبعا we use bank facility, sometimes not overdraft, but to apply for a tender in Kuwait, you have to put a letter of guarantee. And we cannot, so we have facility with some bank to issue these bank guarantees in order to be able to participate in the governmental tenders that they have. And we do work for many of the governmental and the oil sector and even Kesser, Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. We do lots of work for them. And we have lots of cooperation with Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. We support them with data. Whatever data they want. And even if they have any special needs, we can support financially some of the items that they would require to finish their work. We believe as a company, it's not our role to make profit only. I think these technical companies that depend on technical experience, technical knowledge, they have the role of, first of all, educating the community. إحنا we do communicate with different consulting offices and try to educate them on how to do the work that's related to soil, concrete, raw materials, how to do things properly, how to implement standards, international standards. So first is the educational part. We should play a good educational part. Second, we should support our young people. Now, during summer, we open our doors for people from college, from high school who wants to work during summer. If they want to come in, they are welcomed, and we pay salaries to them. Yani, not to get from them something in terms of work to be done, but more of it, they get education. They get to learn something. They might like this business or this career, and they go through it in the future. So it's education. It is support. Also support. I think Kuwait should have its own engineering services companies that can support technically all the consulting offices. What international consultant can do, we can do. We have good experience, we have same background, and even when the foreign consultant, they come to Kuwait, they need somebody who's local, so they get to know from him what is the conditions of the local soil. So, and also, we have to play a social role in the community. I think that's important as a company, that we pump back some of the profit that we did into our community to help them and support them. It's not just a company. That's what I look at it. To me, it's a communication channel with the community.
Exactly, and this is the thing. Why do they rely a lot on companies abroad? If our own companies here can do the work, and is it because of the equipments? Maybe do we lack equipments here, or?
We have all the equipments that they have. Actually, when consultants they come here, they don't bring their equipments with them. We do. They rent it from us. Oh. They ask us to do we work as a subcontractor for them. Okay. But it's a governmental policy that projects have to be designed and supervised, or you should have an international consultant. They say, right, international consultant. So this is a governmental policy. We cannot interfere into that. But what we can do is do our role properly and support the local consultants with what we can. And even now we are into what we call design check. If they have designs for foundation, for mat foundation, for pile foundation, we can do the check. We can upgrade the design. We can do the design for them, actually, as only that part. So we can support them in that. They don't have to go for a foreign office.
Nice.
Yes.
And you said you started with one truck before, like in 1994?
We had, yes, one truck.
And today, how many equipments do you have today with the trucks and a rough number maybe?
We have around 7 rigs for boreholes. We have 3 rigs for water wells, deep water wells. One of them can go down to 1,200 meters. Nice. And other equipments, we have special pumps for deep water wells. You need special huge pumps. And beside that, we have cranes and all this. And by the way, I had to, one of the consultants, when they start building avenues, he called me and he said, we need a third-party inspector on some of the items. I said, okay. So I went there and we gave them our supervision. There was something wrong with the test. So this guy said, please, let it pass. I said, no. They asked me to supervise. I will write what I saw. So I wrote the test failed, and I signed. This guy later on became with another consultant. So the contractor said, we want to bring this. I said, no, you bring Sematco. He said, why? He said, bring Sematco, so I can sleep at night. So just being honest and straightforward and do your work properly, that's what brings you the business. People's trust, that's what brings you the business. It's not a matter of, some people think that if I do this and do this, I can gain more money. It's not money.
I mean, they can scam once or twice, but eventually, it's going to be bad.
You can do, you can get some money, but you cannot, it's hard to get the trust. Mm-hmm. But once you get it, you get the business.
And what was your biggest project that you worked on? Like the most complicated, biggest one?
I think the projects that are related to Bobian. We did all the soil investigation for the road that crosses Bobian from west to east, from the new bridge to the new port. This road is 34 kilometers, I think, long. And also we did all the offshore boreholes around Bobian. So we do work offshore and onshore because we have a barge, so we can do the work offshore. And so this was, and also we did all the work of the port. So this was one of the most interesting work. Technically was very interesting. Along with that project, there was a project for the Ministry of Defense. It's a security platform of Bobian Island. That was challenging because you have to build the island, a small platform, in another country and bring it here and install it properly and install the hydraulic piles, properly, and design that. That was challenging. And we worked with that with a Japanese company to do that. And we did all the soil investigation, all the design for them. From pile point of view, not that we had nothing to do with the platform. That was technically challenging, how to do it. Of course, now, with computer simulation and computer, you can do 3D problems and you can solve them and you can. So we had to use these programs that use 3D, that will calculate stresses and strains and 3D. Financially, the biggest project that we did was for KOC. Through one of their main contractors, we took a contract that exceeded $3 million, and it took us about 2 years or 1.5 years to finish it.
Nice. And then especially the oil sector, I think it's the most complicated place, like with all the geotechnical work, especially.
Well, it's complicated because of the security system they have, because of the precautions that they do. They divide their areas into red zone. Then you cannot. You need a special. For in the cars there are muffle. You have to suppress your exhaust system and all this. So they have special conditions. You have to modify your trucks such that they can allow it in, because they consider it red zone. Because any heat or any spark can ignite a big fire. So they have the condition. Also, you have to go for training. All your people has to go for training, for health and safety. You have to do medical checkup. Your people has to dress in a certain way. PPE, the personal protection equipment. They have specific. So we have in our company KOC, non-KOC projects. When you go to KOC, you use this equipment and these PPE for your staff. Non-KOC, you use different. So, but from geotechnical point of view, it's still the same. But it's there to comply with their requirements. That's the tough part.
Nice. And where do you see Sematco in future? Where?
That's the biggest problem with family company. I tried to bring one of my sons into civil engineering. Nobody would accept. My son told me, Dad, you are working so hard. I don't want to go into your field. So where do I see Sematco? As I told you, I think we have to go into, and very now we are preparing to go into asphalt testing. And then we'll go for air pollution and monitoring equipment. We are designing now a small truck that can take air samples and analyze them online and then give the results. So we can put our trucks in different locations for quality control or monitoring of air quality. The scope is very wide.
Do you see the company going outside of Kuwait, like operating in different countries, or?
Yes. Actually, we were about to sign a contract with Iraq, but for security purposes, we could not sign. But I think in the future, yes, we would go. We get many jobs from Basra and the southern part of Iraq. Also, we got many jobs from Saudi Arabia. We got jobs in Emirates and Qatar. What we do is, instead of sending our equipment, we go there and we get liaison with one of the companies there, and through them we do their work. Same thing. Many companies from Emirates came here and they got projects in Kuwait, so we cooperate with them and do their field work instead of bringing their equipment here. They come and inspect our equipment and so on. If they approve it, then we can go. So we did 3-4 projects for Emirates companies, for Qatari companies, for Saudi companies. We are now initiating what we call Gulf Geotechnical Society. We believe as geotechnicals we have to meet and coordinate our work. We have to talk to each other. We have to talk about what difficulties we are facing in terms of equipment, in terms of reporting, in terms of specification, in terms of the localities of our Gulf region. Is there any specific things that we have to modify due to that locality? Another dimension in our work is also in scope is calibration. All these equipments that we use have to be calibrated. So we need to have facilities in Kuwait that can calibrate machines. And these facilities should be also approved by ISO, and they have these certificates. So we can offer our services to international community as well as regional and local community. There is no limit for ambition. As long as we are working, we have ambition. And as and these ambitions drive you to work. And I think personally, if you want to do something, you should enjoy doing it. The moment I believe that Sematco is an overburden, I will leave. Every day I go to Sematco, I enjoy the time I spend there. Every day I go to the university, I enjoy the time I go there. Professions are, it's like your soul. It lives with you from the time you graduate until the time you say goodbye. So this partner has to be a joyful partner. I enjoy now. I never thought that I would enjoy engineering. Now I'm enjoying engineering. I'm enjoying my job as a geotechnical engineer. Every time I go and visit a consultant and we discuss a problem and they implement our solution, I feel I have accomplished something.
That's why. Yeah.
Yes. I have done something good for my community. And I hope one day they will say that I have left my basma, fingerprint, that they say this guy came from here or passed away.
Yeah, you did. So what do you advise? What's your advice for people that are thinking about starting their own business generally, any type of business?
Well, businesses are two types, either trading or services or manufacturing, any different types. Let's talk about services. Many of the young engineers who are competent, I think their opportunity in the private sector and starting their own business is much better than going to the government. Why? Because in Kuwait, we lack the technical support. We don't have many companies that give, for example, now we're talking about calibration. How many companies do we have in Kuwait that do calibration? 2. And they cannot cover the whole market. Still there are so many technical fields in this country that still have to be addressed, visited, and established. And I really encourage young people to go through that. And I started with my son. My son, when he graduated, he said, I'm not going to apply. I said, why you want to go to the government? Start a business. He said, no, I want to work in a private company. I don't have enough. I said, okay, work in a private company. At least get the experience. The second advice, don't risk your own savings. Find a partner who can support you. And now the government is a good partner. They are giving you some money through small and medium business support. So, I wish when I start my business, we had such a support from the government. So I think that things are, now the young generation have good opportunities, financial. There are many technical areas where we need people to establish their own business in that technical field so they can support the local market. And for example, imagine if you want to calibrate a turbine, if you want to calibrate any electric machine, is it possible to do it in Kuwait? No. You have to go outside. The Saudis now, they are starting these. They are helping the young people to start these business. I just met a guy in Saudi Arabia who started a calibration business. I told him, how it's going? He said, I'm trying to tell people slowly, wait, I have so much work. So I think relax. I think I know it's not easy. I'm sure the first few days and a few months you will not sleep very well at night because you are thinking. But things will go as long as you put the effort, you have the proper vision, and you have the good technical background. As in say Arabic, من اشتهى شيء أعطاه الله حقيقته. يعني if you put the hard work and you have the knowledge, why not?
Exactly. And what's your advice to people that are struggling currently in their business? I'm pretty sure there are many people out there in the whole world that are maybe in huge debt, or their business is not doing good.
Well.
Yeah.
طبعا يعني my business is not doing well. There are two causes. Either external, like war, like corona, or internal. Whoever has a business and he has internal problem, I advise him to shut down. But if it's external, no. Have patience. One of the things that we did during hard time, we did not give bonuses. We did not give raise to our employees. We gave some of our employees vacation paid. Go now. You have to find a way to pass through the hard time. If you can do that, your company will come back. It's much stronger than it was before, because it already had passed through the harsh time. And now it can, you can endure the hard times. I don't believe that there is any company or any business did not pass through hard time. Everybody passes through hard time. Don't think that because from the outside you see everything is okay, that means it's okay. No. Our company passed through hard time. Patience. You have to do things to reduce your overhead cost. And push. It's going to go through.
Mm-hmm. And do you recommend, is there, do you feel like they should have some savings or like an emergency account where they can use their money, in case of any type of emergency?
Our policy in Sematco, that every year out of our profit, we take around 15%. If our profit is zero or minus, we don't take. But if our profit is positive, we take a certain amount of money and put it as a fixed deposit. During the harsh time, we found that these fixed deposits very useful.
You were saving them for like more than 10 years?
Since 1995. We are putting little amounts. Of course, we had very good years. And we have years that profit is very small. And we have years with zero profit. And we have years that with loss. So how can you balance things? Take from the good years to the bad years. Now, we say in Arabic, دينارك الأبيض لا يومك
exactly.
So you keep your money for the bad times. So it's money management. And there are things in business to run it properly. You have to get the help of others. For example, to run a good business, you need a good accounting system. It's not bad that you go and take a small, short course. Just not to do the accounting yourself, but to at least to understand the language of the accountant. I had to take one. I took a course in college when I was doing my master, accounting for small business. Just to know, what does a cheat balance mean? How can I read debit and credit things? What does this mean? T account, what's this mean? How do you calculate profit? What is the difference between gross profit and net profit? Yani you have to understand these things. So you have to take a short course. And there are many that are online or this. So in the sectors, I'm an engineer. I don't know anything about accounting. So the other sectors, I have to educate yourself. You want to run a business, you have to teach yourself every day something. You cannot just rely, because tomorrow you don't know. You might add a new business or add a new line, or and so you have to keep educating yourself. The business environment is a dynamic environment. It's not a static environment. And you, if you are static, definitely you go into hardship. But if you are dynamic, you are learning, you are updating yourself. And for example, when we started doing logs for boreholes, we used Excel. Now we have developed, we are using new languages to develop these. Now we are using 3D. You have to develop yourself. Your reports, every year we change the look of our report and we introduce something new. If you don't do that, if you cannot keep up with the new things in your field, how can you succeed? So, and I'm sure, and this is a message to the young people, that the young people are more capable of adopting the new technology than us. If we can do it, they can do it. So I'm sure that to keep your business running, you have to make sure that every day when you go back to sleep, what did I learn today? I learned this and this. You have to have something that you have learned that day. You cannot just pass one day without getting to learn something new. That's what keeps your business alive.
Okay. Yeah, that's all we had for today. So thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.